Welcome to Test Room, your go-to hub for professional knowledge sharing. In this video, we will learn about robot frameworks control structure that includes loops, conditions, and exception handling. We will be learning comprehensive for loops, which includes different variations of for loops, the while loop, controlling the loops with break, continue, and exit statements, implementing the if else conditions, and error handling using the try and except methods. What are loops? In programming, loops are the control structures that allow you to repeat a set of instructions multiple times until a specific condition is met. So with the loops, you will be executing a set of instructions or statements multiple times until a particular condition is met. In case of robot frameworks, you can implement the loops using for or using the while. So there are two kinds of loops that are supported by robot framework, which is the for loop and the while loop. In case of robot framework, we have the variations for the for loop, which are like basic for loop, range based for loop, enumeration based for loop, and zip based for loop. We will go through each one by one. Let us understand what is a basic for loop. Let us go to PyCharm. For this exercise, I have created a new robot file by a name loops.robot. So let us try to understand what is a basic for loop. So let us write a test case to understand this. I'll write a test case basic for loop, inside which I will be creating a list. For example, let us say fruits, list as a fruits, and it has multiple elements. I will be creating using create list keyword. Then I will have the multiple elements under it like apple, grapes, then I'll have pear, then I will have pineapple, etc. Now I want to print each and every element of this particular the list, okay, without using the indexes. If you see, when I explained about the variables, so I also told you how to display each and every element of a list using an index. Today we will not use the indexes, rather we will use the for loop. The syntax for loop is for, so I will be using in, for in, it automatically auto completes the code. For in the list, this is a list, the fruits list, then I will be using the fruits as an element, fruit, then I am going to print fruit. Let us understand what this for loop is doing. Here the for loop iterates over each elements of the list, and and it tried to assign this fruit variable with the elements. For example, for the first iteration, it assigns the value as apple. For the next iteration, it will assign the, it will be the it will be the grapes. For the third iteration, it will be pear, and for fourth iteration, it will be the pineapple. And basically, we are also printing the elements. Let us go and try to execute this test case and see what happens. So basically, if you see, the loop has executed 1, 2, 3, 4 number of times, and at the each iteration it has printed the value. Say this has printed the value. So in case if you want to understand more, let us go and open our output file. If you see, our output files are generated under built-in under the log directory. Let us go to the log directory and to try to open the HTML file. And if you see this and this particular test case, you see, so this for loop has underwent the 4 iteration. Why? Because we have 4 elements that are stored in a list. For each iteration, it basically, for each iteration what it does, it basically takes the element and assign it to this particular variable. This is how the the basic for loop works. Now let us use the same basic for loop with the dictionaries. Okay, I'm going to define a dictionary as a laptop details. What I will do is I will put it as equal to, and here I will use create dictionary, and dictionary has these many elements, and in case of dictionaries we have key and value pair. So we will use the same for loop, basic for loop called for in. So here it is, instead of list, it is the it is a dictionary, and dictionary has two values, which is called as key and a space, and there is a value. So let us put it like this. This is a value, this is a key. So key is brand, value is del. So we will print both of them. Log, you can print multiple items using log many. I think there is a function called log many. So you can put it as key is colon the variable key, then I can give value is colon colon value, right? So let us try to execute. It is also a similar concept. So basically this for loop iterates over each element of the directory and try to extract the key and value. The brand will go to the key and del will go to the value. RAM will go to the key and 16 GB will go to the value, and it will be, and then it will display. We are basically printing this. Try to execute this. So this is done now. So I think we can go to our report and refresh this. And if you see here, we'll go to laptop section. So we had the four elements, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you see here, log many. So what you see, key is brand and value is del. This is how it is getting displayed, right? This is how the for loop works. The basic for loop works. Now let us try to understand what is range based for loop. And let us go back to our PyCharm. Let us create one more test case as range based for loop. Here we will use directly the for loop for in range. Okay, if you see, for in the counter, the in range, okay, range, it is in a range. Start range has a start value. Range is a function which has a start value, end value, and number of step. For example, if you want to print a number from 1 to 10, you can give start as 1, end as 10, and steps as 1. If you don't give any options as steps, it is optional. Okay, let us try to use the same thing. Instead of start, I will give it as 1, and instead of end, I will give it as 10, and instead of steps I will not give anything. So by default it will take as an increment as an 1. Okay, so now it is going to print the number from 1 to 9. So, okay, so range starts with 1 and it ends with n minus 1. Okay, so let us try to execute this particular test case and see what happens. So it is printed from 1 to 9. If you want 10, then you will have to specify as 11. Okay, so always it is n minus 1. Okay, so if it is n, then n minus 1 is displayed here. If the n is 10, then n minus 1 is 9. So it is how it is displayed, right? So it is very simple. Now basically I want to print all the even numbers, right? Even numbers are 0, 2, like that, right? 0 to 11 with the step of 2. So it starts with 0, then it step is 2, then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. So because we have given the step value as 2, because since it starts with 0, so the 0 plus 2 is 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay. So this is how the step is coming into picture. Let us see. So you see 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. Okay. This is how basically the range operator works. The range is basically to print the numbers from start point to the end point. That is how this is how the range based for loop works. Now let us try to understand what is enumeration based for loop. Let us go and write a test case for this. Give it as enumeration based loop, right? So enumeration based loop is something like enumerate. Okay, so if you give a if you pass a list, for example, let us take the same list here. It is similar to your basic for loop, but along with the items, it also gives us the index. For example, if I give it as fruit, 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 then instead of this list, if I pass fruit as a list, then I will be getting what I am doing. I am basically logging the index. The index will always start with 0, 0, 1, 2 and 3. Along with that, we will have the items associated with that index. So this is how the enumeration works. Basically for loop goes through iterate over the each and every element of the particular list. So along with that, while giving us the item, it also gives us the index of that particular item. Okay, so let us try to execute this. You see 0 is apple, 1 is grapes, 2 is pear and 3 is pineapple. This is how the enumeration based for loop works. Now let us see what is zip based for loop. Let us go and create a test case as zip based for loop. Zip based for loop works with multiple lists, right? So for this we will have to um, create two lists. Okay, one as a fruit, another one as a color. For example, for each of the fruits we can give a color as red, as purple, pear is green, and pineapple is, I can make it as yellow. Okay, so if you want to print both of these list together, then you can use the for loop, a zip based for loop. The syntax for this is for in zip. So if you see for in zip, it taken two basically it has taken two lists, and it extracts the elements of these two lists and then try to print. Note that each list should have equal amount of items. For example, if this fruit list has 1, 2, 3, 4, and the other list also should have the that many number of items, that is 4 here. Okay, so if it is equal, then only it works. So let us, instead of this, I will give it as first list I will give it as fruits, and then second list I will give it as color. This is L1, so this I will make it as fruit. I will make it as colors here with the capital C. So I'll also make it as colors here. Here I'll make it as color, and I will put fruit. I will put fruit. I will put I will put fruit and its associated color. Let us go and try to execute this. You see, apple red, grapes purple, pear green, pineapple yellow. This is how you can combine the values of, we can basically display the values of two lists using the zip based for loop. In case of dictionary also we can use zip, but it is little complicated, but I will try to demonstrate that as well. For this we will create a new test case, zip based loop for dictionaries, and here I have to create two dictionaries. So I will give it as ampersand person person details. Okay, I will have a name as equal to, so it should be, equals to, so create dictionary name equals to test troop, then age equals to 30, then I can give a country NTRY as NL. Okay, country are Netherlands, and I will create one more dictionary as person, sorry, instead of details I will get it as contacts. So instead of name I will give it as email as testtroop at gmail.com. Then I have telephone as +31 1 2 3 4 5 6. Then instead of country I have code as code equal to +31. So I'll remove the code from here. I will give a number as 0. Okay, and so now we have to convert these dictionaries into the list. Let us take a list as personal details set personal details keys. For this I can do get dictionary keys. Basically it returns, let us see how we can use it. So it is in a scalar operations. I can use it as in a scalar mode. Keys get dictionary keys. The dictionary name is this one. Okay, so it is also in a scalar context. Similarly, we can also have get dictionary. Instead of keys I will have values. So I will give it as values. So instead of dictionary keys, I can use it as get, sorry, get, I think it is something like get dictionary values. I will remove this. I will copy paste this. These two values remains the same. So here I should have the, sorry, I'll copy paste this one here. One more set. Instead of this details, I will make it as contacts. I'll remove the detail. I'll remove these details. I'll make it as this. I will make it as this. Now I can make it as a for loop based on the zip. For in zip, I will have four values, four dictionaries here. I'll copy this and I'll make it as four. The uh, first one is keys. Second one is values. Third one is again keys. Control something happened. Also values. I will. Okay, we can put it as the same thing. For example, I'll make it as L3 and I will make it as L4. So I can basically print one. First print is this one and second print is this one. Okay, so first print, what it will do, it will give me the keys and values of, for example, it will print name test troop followed by email equal to this one. Second one age 30, then telephone. Third one is country NL and country code as +31. Let us see how it works. Yeah, so you see, it has got the cage. It has, sorry, it has got the list. The lists are stored, for example, like this: age, country, and name. Age, country, and name. Then followed by 30 NL and test troop. 30 NL and test troop. 30 NL and test troop. So age is 30, country is so NL, and name is test troop. Here it is coming with the code first, email second, and telephone. This is because this is sorted based on the alphabetical order. And when you are printing it, what it will do, sorry, I have forgot to give L3, it should be L3 and it should be L4, right? If I try to execute here, you see age 30, code is 31, country is NL, email is this one, name is this, and telephone is this. This is how we can print the content of two dictionaries. So if you want, you can also sort before printing, before even getting the keys and values. Here get dictionary, we can also sort them. Basically we can also sort those values actually. Yes, see, I have not given this sort as true, but I can give sort equal to true here, and here also can I give like that? Yes, I can also give sort equal to sort the key is equal to true. It is not true, I have to give it as, I think, false, or I think something like this. Right, I will also take this. Let us see what happens. Yeah, now let us. So name, age and country, name, age and country, then email, telephone and code. So it gave us the list, the keys and the values in a non-sorted format. Okay, this is how we can basically make use of zip paste loop for printing both the list as well as the dictionaries. Now we have understood the different variations of for loop. Now let us understand what is while loop and how it works. Let's create one more test case to understand the while loop. While loop test. Directly let us try to use while loop and see what is the syntax. See, while always uses a condition. So then if the condition is true, then it goes inside. If the condition is false, then it comes out of the loop. Uh, let us try to print from 1 to 10. If you see, let us put a counter here. Counter. So we have to use the counter with set variables. Set variable, and the value we will give it as 1. Then let us put a condition here. Counter. So this counter value we can put less than or equals to 1. Okay, sorry, less than or equal to 10. There is some syntax error here. Okay, then we will log the counter, and if I execute this, this will go into the infinite loop because we are not incrementing the variable. Variable value will always be 1. So we'll also have to increment the counter variable because the condition that we are doing is with respect to the counter variable. So let us also increment the counter variable. For that we have something called evaluate. So we'll have to use the expression counter equals to counter plus 1. So basically what it does, it sets the variable as 1. So 1 is less than 10. So it comes inside, prints this, then till this counter becomes 10. Once the counter becomes 10, it comes out of this while loop. Let us try to execute this and see how it works. See, it has it's printed from 1 to 10, right? It has printed from 1 to 10. This is what is expected. This is how while statement works. While statement always works with the while with the condition until the condition is met. Okay, till the if the condition is met, this particular statement will be executed. Once the condition is false, that means condition is not met, then it will come out of this particular while loop. This is how basically while works in robot framework. In robot framework, there is in the new version of robot framework, there is one more variation of while loop. Let us check what exactly it is. While statement unlimited. So this entire while loop is basically controlled by this limit. So if it is none, that means the statement inside this while loop is going to be executed for ever actually. So we can limit it. We can say that let us make it as 25 times, and I want to execute a counter, right? So I will use the counter here. I want to execute this loop for 25 times, printing 1 to 25, right? Can you give set variable as set variable value as 1 initially, then I will log this variable, make it as a log, then I will make counter equals to evaluate with counter plus 1. Yeah, I don't need this basically, and I'll just give this and let us see what it does. I'm also curious, first time I'm using this. You see it has basically executed 25 times, right? So let us go to our report and check. The while loop has aborted because it did not finish within the limit of 25 iteration. Use the limit argument to increase or remove the limit added. Okay, but nevertheless it executed this particular statement. What I will do is I will limit this counter to 100 and just try to print. I just try to print. Yeah, I am in a loop. I am in a loop. Yes, again it is failed. While loop has aborted because it did not finish within the limit of 25 iteration. Use the limit. Okay. Yeah, this is how basically we can use the different types of while loop. Now let us go and understand the syntax of if and if else condition, and let us see how to use them basically. So I don't need all these things. I am going to delete them. I will only keep the fruits list, and I will also change the name of the test case. Understanding conditions. Okay, understanding conditions, right? Conditional statements or conditions. So let us go and type if condition, if else statement. So you see, this is how basically the syntax of the if statement. If some condition, if this condition passes, then it will call set of statements. Else it will be calling set of statements. Okay. Under else, if there are multiple conditions you want to evaluate, if, else, and things like that, then also you can, under this condition, you can also insert one more if condition. For example, let us take a browser. Okay, you may be having the different browsers like a Chrome browser, then Firefox browser, Edge browser, Opera browser, Safari browser, and things like that. And you are writing the code to open a browser. Then if say if browser equal to Chrome, and do this, else come here, and if the browser equal to Firefox, execute this statement. Else again you can put else if the else again you can put an if else statement here. Else if if the browser equal to Safari, and do this. Else you say that this browser is not supported. So you can use if else condition. In such situations you can use the nested if and else conditions, right? So so I'm going to use this if condition. What I want to do is I want to search a peer in the fruit list, and as soon as I find the fruit as a peer, I want to write a message that I found the fruit peer, and I want to come out of the for loop. Okay. So in order to iterate over each and every item of this particular list, we will be using the basic for loop. I'll use basic for loop. Instead of this list, I'll put it as my list, and then for each iteration it gets the items. Then here what I will do is I will put an if statement. Okay, only if statement. What I am doing is if uh, this particular variable that I have to put it in quotes, single quotes, if this is equal to pear, I want to search whether I have an fruit as pear. Yeah, then what I will do, I will log, what I will do is I will log many. I'll say that I found the fruit whose name is pear. Pear will be stored here. Okay, and if I want to come out of this loop immediately as soon as it basically it finds the peer, then I'll have to break the loop. That I will be teaching how to break the loop in the coming session. But for a time being, let the loop continue, and here I will also basically log the I will also use the log the fruit here, just to show you that this this loop goes through the four times, right? Apple 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and only one time it is going to go into this particular if statement, because as soon as it finds an peer, it will go into this particular statement and try to execute this particular statement, right? So it becomes, because the condition becomes true. Let us see this. See, for the first iteration it did not find, so it printed here. Second iteration it did not find, so it printed this statement. Third iteration is found, okay, it printed this, and but again it printed a name. So what we can do in order to avoid this, so we can add a else statement. I will print only once the fruit name, right? So I will just put else here, and in the else I'll put this particular statement. Okay, when it is true, then it will print I found pear, otherwise it will print the other fruits names, right? So here if you see, I have the pear two times, right? I have pear two times. I want to avoid that, so I want to print pear only one time. See, now if you see, I have printed pear only one time, that is using this particular log many statement. This is how basically if else condition works. So when we really do a lot of programming, when I'm going to teach you how to do the API automation and web automation, then we will be using lot many the if else conditions lot many times. Then we will be thorough in using the if else statement. For a time being, so I am only teaching you how to basically utilize these particular utilities. Now let us understand how to control the loops. There are mainly three keywords that are being used for controlling the loops. They are break, continue, and execute. Let us try to use them in our script. Let us try to use the same example. Here what I wanted to do is, as soon as I find peer, I want to come out of this particular for loop. I don't want to, because my aim is to basically search peer. Once my work is done, I want to come out of this for loop. So here at this particular moment, I am not doing that, because as soon as I find peer, so I am still continuing the loop and trying to print pineapple as well. So I want to avoid that, right? So what I want to do is, as soon as this particular if statement gets executed, when it comes to this particular block of the code, I want to print I found the fruit, and then I want to break this particular loop. I want to break this particular loop. To breaking the particular loop, I will be using a keyword called break. Okay, so let us try to execute this and see how it works. And to understand it better, let us go to our log and go to the loops, then understanding this, and inside this you see, as soon as, see, and then executed a break statement. So once it is done, it just came out of the loop, and if you see, it's only printing apple, grapes and pear. Okay, this is how the break statement works, and the break statement is mainly utilized to break the for loop or an while loop. So you can also use the while loop. Let us try to use the while loop and see how the break works. Let us make while let us make while as true. This I will always give it as true. Here I will set counter equal to 1, counter equal to set variable 1, then I will do log counter, then I will do counter equal to evaluate counter plus 1. Here I will basically write a condition if counter equal to 10, I want to do a break from this loop. Let us try to execute this. You see, when the counter equal to 10, it it basically came out of the loop, so it is printed only the 9 numbers. Yeah, but we can make it as is 11. If the counter equal to 11, then it will come out, so it will only print 10 numbers. Right, see, it has printed 10 numbers for the 11th. For the when it became 11, so it is equal to 11, then it came out of the loop. So similarly we can also use less than or equal to. Basically we can do less than or equal to 10. It's also same. It did not work basically. Let us use less than. Now let us try this. I did not execute it. So let us try this and see. I have put less than or equal to. Let us see how it works. So it did not run. Let's see what is the problem. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so he, sorry, my condition itself is wrong. So it should be greater than 10, right? Should be greater than 10. So if it is greater than 10, then only break. So it was condition was a negative. So that is why it was not working. Sorry for that. Yeah. So this is how it works, right? So yeah. So this is how we can use the break statement. Okay. Along with the break statement, the similarly you can also use the exit statement. Okay, the exit statement works only for the for loop. So you say exit for loop as soon as the instead of break we have put exit from the for loop. In case if the fruit is pear, then exit from this. Okay. So for a time being, I will just cut this particular part of the code. Otherwise, you will get confused. So let us try to execute this. See, so it is basically exiting the for loop. So it printed apple, it printed grape, then it printed I found grape, I found the fruit pear, and this went out of the loop. Okay, so we'll come go to this and see here. So it exited the for loop. This is how basically you can exit the for loop, right? So there is a one more condition which says like which is again exit statement. So how to use this is like exit for loop if condition. So you can put a condition here. You can put a condition instead of using if. You can directly put a condition, and then you can basically I have simplified this code. We have simplified this code. So what we are doing basically we are exiting the for loop if the element is pear. So it first go to apple, apple is not pear, grapes is not pear, then it is pear. As soon as if it finds pear is pear, it basically exits. So it is not even going to print pear because this statement comes just before the log statement. So it prints the apple, it prints grape, then it will not print the pear, so it will come out of it. Let us try to see how it works. See, it printed apple, it printed grapes, then it came out. So if I put this log statement above this if statement, then it will again now it will print apple, grapes and pear, right? Because once it finds the condition is have the evaluation of the condition is happening here, and before that itself we are printing the element. So this is how basically it works. Now let us see how to use the continue statement. We can take a same example. Here I want to print only apple and grapes. I don't want to print pear, and I want to print pineapple. So basically I want to print apple, grapes and pineapple. I don't want to print a pear. How to do that? Basically we can use a continue statement here. So what I can do is I can put a condition like if statement, if this element is equal to peer, right? Then what I want to do, I want to basically continue. I want to continue. Otherwise, I want to continue, and otherwise else I want to print the name of the fruit. Or else I want to print the name of this fruit. Okay, so it will skip pear, then it will print the names of other fruits. So it printed apple, it printed grapes, and then it skipped pear and it printed pineapple. This is how basically we can control the the loops. You can control the loops using continue. The continue is for skipping, the break for breaking the loop, exit also for breaking the loops. Okay, these are basically three statements or three keywords that controls the loop. Exception handling. Before we understand exception handling in robot framework, let us try to understand what exactly the exception is. So in case of the programming, exceptions are the errors or an unexpected events that occur during the execution of a program. They interrupt the normal flow of the code and can prevent the program from continuing unless they are handled properly. So these are the serious forms of error. When these errors occurs, the program basically stops abruptly. So unless we cache those exceptions and make the program to continue. So some of these errors could be trying to access a file which is not available in your disk. The second thing, trying to perform a mathematical operation like divided by 0. Or third case could be trying to access an array index which is not available. For example, if an list has 4 elements and you're trying to access an index 5, then it can cause these kind of exceptions, and due to which the program will stop there itself. It will not continue. So we'll have to handle these exceptions. In programming, the exceptions are basically handled using try and catch method. And in robot framework, we also have a similar mechanism called try and expect to catch these exceptions. Let us try to see how to use them in our programming. Let us try and understand how to catch the exception in robot framework. And for this, I will basically remove uh, this test case and add a new test case like handling exceptions. Okay, handling exceptions, and I will keep this particular array, and I will I will try to use the try and catch, try and accept. Try and accept, only try and accept. What I will do is I will try to execute. Um, so any statement that you see that there may be an occurrence of error, you will have to use inside the try statement. As soon as you try to put them inside the try statement, whenever there is an error, it will be the error in the sense serious form of error that is called as an exception. It will come to an except block. Otherwise, it will normally execute from the try block, right? Executed from the try block. In case of any error occurs during the execution, the block will come to the except block. So let us try to print. Okay, let us try to log. Let us try to log. Uh, let us try to log the fruits of 0, and let us also log another statement like I am printing fruits list. So under the except block, I will take out this message, and basically I will just try to use this keyword. Think, is there any variable called? So there is no variable, and I will try to say that this particular exception has occurred. Okay, and yeah. So in this case, we are doing the right operation because we are trying to access the zeroth element of fruits list, which is basically an apple. So in this case, there will not be any exceptions, right? So let us try to execute this and see this basically executed in a normal way. what I will do is I will try to access the fifth element of this particular list. So I have 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and even if I try to access the fourth element, it will try to give me an error. But basically I am catching this error, so the program will not be okay. For that moment, I will also try to put an sorry, end of script. Okay, you see, if I don't include try and except, okay, the program will basically exit at this statement itself, because while trying to execute this statement we are encountering an error, because as we know that there are no not there this list does not contain the four elements, okay, and we are trying to access the fourth element of the list. Basically fourth element in the sense this is the fifth, because the count always starts from the zero, right? So that element is not there in the list has only 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So I'm 3. If I try to access 3, it will give pineapple. If I try to access 4, there is no element. So program will basically exit from here, since I'm wrapping this particular statement under except. So the control comes, so the error occurs here, the control comes to the log statement. And even you don't see basically printing, I am printing the fruit list, because it comes to this statement, it gets an error, directly it goes to the except, and once it executes this, it comes to an end block and it try to execute this particular statement. Okay, let us see, this is what is expected. So you see, so error has occurred, it gave a fail because there is no item in index 4. Then it says error has occurred, it came here, and then it came to the end of this script. Okay, and if I basically take out, okay, what I will do, I will basically cut this and I will only take this particular statement and see what happens basically. You see, the test case itself is failed. Earlier case, test case was passed actually. Earlier case, test case was passed. Now the test case has failed. That is because there was an error at this statement. It even did not print this particular test case, right? It didn't print this particular statement. It even did not print this particular statement. It executed here, it failed, and the program itself is exited. That is why we have to use, these are called as an exceptions. So these exceptions has to be cached. That is why we use try and except block. Now we saw, right, as soon as this particular error has occurred, right, error has occurred, it went to an except block, right? So but it could not print this particular statement. If you want to print this particular statement, then there is something called finally. So we can use a try and final statement here, and we can take this finally statement. I will just copy paste and I will delete all of them. I will delete all of them, and before end I will insert this final statement, and I will try to put this particular keyword inside, the particular keyword inside it, particular message inside. Now let us see what happens. The exception occurs here, so then the control comes here, then the control also comes to the final system statement. Even if there are errors or there are no errors, then the final statement is always get executed. Okay, let us try to see this by putting the error 3, by putting the index as 3. So this is a normal flow, this should execute fine, and you see it has printed pineapple, that is a correct one. So we did not see any error statement, and it also printed the final statement. So even if it is an error or no error, finally statement is always get executed. Now let us try to input an error. You see, we got an error, and we got this error message, and also we got this finally statement. This is how try and catch basically works. If you see here, currently we are printing the normal error because we don't know what kind of error basically is thrown from this statement, right? While printing, try to print this particular statement. So we have some kind of an exception, but what kind of error we really don't know, or error message. So, but generically I am putting log and error message has occurred. So if you want to really catch what exactly is an error, so you can store it into a variable by using as statement. Then you will have to give an variable. I will put it as err. Then I will take this variable and try to print here. And if you see, this basically says the list fruits has no item in index 4. This is what it basically printing. So the error, basically we are catching the error and we are printing it. And similarly, what we can do, you can also try to perform an operation such as evaluate 10 divided by 0. Okay, try to do this. This is division by 0 error. You should give division by 0 error. This also leads to into an exception and terminates the program basically. So we are catching this exception under try and catch. And if you see here, and this is error that is being caused by the exception. Evaluating the expression failed, 0 division error. This is a division by 0. This is how basically we can catch an error using the except as statement, right? And putting the value into an error, and then we can print this error variable. That brings to the end of robot framework control structures tutorial. So in this tutorial we studied comprehensive for loops and different variations of the for loops, like basic, range based, enumerator based, zip based for loops, while loops, controlling the loops with break, continue and exit, implementing the if else and nested if else condition, error handling using try and except, and also how to use finally statement. Hope you enjoyed learning with me. In case if you find this video useful to you, please start supporting me by subscribing my channel. Thank you for watching.